I was not due back for another 9 hours, maybe more. Well, that was what I had told her. It was a lie. Why? Well, about 6 months ago, I learned that my wife of 42 years is seeing another man. This shocked me for two main reasons. One, I thought we had something special, I really did. The other, well, I sort of told her many years ago that if I ever caught her s***ing around on me, well, plain and simple, I would kill him, no doubt resulting in me getting a holiday at Her Majesty's expense. The thing is, I meant it, and she bloody well knew it. The thing is, I don't want to do any time in prison. I'm a little past my sell-by, you know. I thought about getting one of my old muckers to do it for me. But where's the satisfaction in that? When I found out she was seeing someone else, I wanted to know who. So I bugged my house. As soon as I found out who it was, I knew it would be easy to deal with him. But my little eavesdroppers picked up that they had a plan. And that plan showed they thought I was an even bigger fool than I already appeared. Not content with sneaking around behind my back, they wanted me locked up while they lived off my money. I have to admit, if I hadn't caught on to them and heard what they were planning, it probably would have worked. So here I am, sitting in my back garden, waiting for her to come home and meet with Derek Clapton, that awful boss of hers. Boy, am I going to surprise them. I didn't have to wait long before they pulled up in his BMW. It was funny watching them try to sneak in without alerting the neighbors. I gave them 5 minutes before I headed in to join them. I'm going to say some things to them, and those things are going to mess their heads right up, especially hers. I walked over and went in to see the lovebirds. Hearing me enter, they pulled away from each other. "Jane, Derek," I said, nodding a greeting. Their faces were a picture. Imagine two epileptic goldfish having fits while someone sticks a few thousand volts in the bowl. I smiled at them and asked, "Drink, anyone?" I walked over to the sideboard and got a bottle of spiced wine out of it. "I made it myself. It's a German recipe. The Krauts, they call it glühwein." "You gotta try this, Derek, my old mate. It's bloody handsome." No, I have to get going," he replied nervously. "That's bollocks, and we all know it. You had planned on staying the night, and it's all right. Just carry on as if I weren't here. You seem to be doing all right until I disturbed you. Sorry about that." "You don't mind? I thought you would be angry," said Jane. She seemed confused. "Good." "Nah, love, we both know I haven't been up to much these days. I haven't been close to you for months. I know you've got your needs and all," I said. The truth is, I hadn't been near her since I found out about her boyfriend. I walked over to the fire and picked up the poker. I smiled as I heard them both gasp. I bent down and stuck it in the hot coals. Leaving it there, I returned to the sideboard and, pulling 3 glasses out, poured the glühwein into them. I took the glasses and placed them on the mantelpiece before extracting the poker from the fire. I then pokered the drinks, and a pleasant fruity aroma filled the room. It's best drunk warm. You can warm it within a saucepan, or you can nuke it, but I like the traditional method. I placed the poker back in the companion set, to the relief of my companions. "That is nice," complimented Derek after a taste. "Sweet and warming?" "No, not for me," said Jane, holding a hand up. "I'll have it then," I replied, pulling back the glass. "Can you get me a glass of water?" she asked. "Of course, dear," I replied, going to get her one. "Thank you, darling. Are you really sure you are okay with Derek being here?" I shrugged. "Of course I am, dear. Here, Derek, I got these from the doctor a while back. They didn't do me any good, but since you're here to do my job, you might as well have them." "They don't work on me," I said, pulling a blister pack from my pocket and offering it to him. He said vacantly as he took them from me. "Cialis, you know, like Viagra. I hear it works wonders," I added despondently. "If it works." Neither of them had relaxed any. I topped up our glasses with Jane's and fetched the poker. "Look, don't let me being here bother you. I'd go for a walk, but it's freezing out there. Off you go, you two. Go and head upstairs. I'll watch something on the TV. Give me a shout if you need anything." "Go on, then. Off you go," I said, waving them out with my hands. When they didn't move, I gave them a gentle push. Whether it was compliance, instinct, or just the urge to hide from me, they started to move. If you take one of those pills, it may help you get over any anxiety. Go on, have fun. I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed. Come down afterward and we can have a bit of a chat once you've relaxed a bit. Sorry again if I've made things awkward. I heard them talking. I couldn't hear what was being said. It seemed forever before I heard the bed started to move, a bit longer before I began to hear Jane making those little squeaks of pleasure that I knew so well. The thumping of the mattress gained urgency as her squeaks became pants and then pure animal grunts. A tear formed in my eye as I remembered it used to be me causing her to make those sounds. I popped out into the garden. I had to do something. When I came back in, I was shivering. It was bleeding cold outside. It had gone quiet upstairs. I sat down, and after 10 minutes, I began to wonder if they had fallen asleep. Then I heard someone get out of bed and go to the bog. Sounded like Derek. I listened to it flush, then I heard voices again, closely followed by footsteps on the stairs. "Is it okay if we come down?" Jane asked meekly. "Come on, stop trying to be all coy. I've told you it's all right, haven't I?" I said, letting a bit of frustration show. "No, really, it's okay. You enjoyed yourself, didn't you?" I added softly, trying to sound reassuring. "Yes, but you had always told me, you know, what you would do if I was to see anyone," she said nervously. "Yeah, well, time, situations, things change, you know. What can I say? That was then. This is now. Now, call Loverboy down and we'll have a chat." She called him, and he came down wearing my dressing gown, the cheeky guy. But I kept my mouth shut and held my temper. I got them to sit on the sofa together, all cuddled up nice and cozy. I brought them drinks. Water for her and more glue wine for me and Derek. "Well then, Derek, I assume you have enjoyed my wife. Live up to your expectations, did it?" "Of course it did. She's always been a goer." "Now, Derek, do you mind if I ask you a few questions?" I asked. "No, I don't suppose I do. Go ahead, ask away," he replied, still sounding a little nervous. "Well, Derek, I'd always thought that your relationship with Jane was a little, shall we say, strained. She'd always blamed you for her missing out on that promotion last year." "Yes, that's true," he replied. "And yet here you are. Why's that? I mean, how come you go from being her most hated to sharing her bed?" I asked. I looked at Jane. She was looking worried. "She told me a month or so ago that it was water under the bridge. She wanted to put things right between us. We had a couple of lunches, then dinner last week and tonight." He confessed. He really was clueless, a patsy. Poor guy, I almost felt sorry for him. Then again, he'd been with another man's wife, my wife. I noticed his glass was empty, so I topped it up and used the poker to warm it, doing the same for mine. "I think you should be going, Derek," announced Jane. "No love, that would be rude. Besides, he has had a drink. Wouldn't be safe now, would it?" I said to her. "Perhaps she's right. Maybe I should go," said Derek. "No, Derek, stay. Enjoy our hospitality. Maybe you can take her upstairs again in a bit," I said to him, but stared at Jane. "Now, where were we? Oh, yeah. Don't you find that a bit strange, my old mate?" I asked him. "Well, I suppose. But you know," he replied as the question sank in. "And you, my love, can you explain this change in your relationship?" "No, not really. It happened just like he said," she replied. "You see," I said, addressing them both. "As I said earlier, I found out that dear Jane was stepping out on me about 6 months ago. I know that it wasn't you. I wasn't sure who it was, so I took steps to find out. Took me a couple of months to get things in place. Could have done it quicker, but I suppose I didn't really want to know. Anyway, it's not hard nowadays. Just a couple of recorders in the house, and bang, a week later I knew who was having intimacy with my wife." Jane had gone white. She looked scared. I could have dealt with it there and then, but I heard them talking. They wanted to stitch me up. They figured they would set up some guy, I would catch them at it. Well, the plan was for it to be nearly at it. I would do what I had always said I'd do and kill him. Jane now looked terrified. I think she had an idea of what was going on. So even though I knew what was going on, Jane dropped a couple of hints. I confided in a mate. He suggested that we tell Jane we're going off somewhere. We can lay in wait. And when she turns up with, well, you as it happens, I do the business and he helps me get rid of the evidence. When really he would call the cops and I'd end up in jail, locked up for protecting what's mine. But it didn't happen like that, did it? You see, Derek, Janie here, never had any intention of being intimate with you tonight, but when I came in and said what I said, I didn't really give her any option, but from the sound of it, once you got her going, she had a good time, and so did you. Consider that my gift to you, Derek, even though I used you to get back at her and that guy she's been betraying me with. She expected me to stop her, but instead she had to go through with it. Tell me, dear, did you feel guilty about betraying the love of your life? Jane sat looking at me. She seemed unable to speak. Well, he didn't like you with Derek. He heard it all, better than I did. That's because I relayed the feed to him, and I taped the headphones on his head. Jane gasped in shock at the implication. He cried, you know. Can you imagine that? Big tough guy like Davy crying as he hears his woman being with another bloke. Who would have believed it? I chuckled. You know he was cut up about it. I looked at them. They were petrified, literally too scared to move a muscle. Of course, my dear. You know we can't be together anymore. You'll have to find yourself somewhere to live. No, I'm not throwing you out, but the new owners will want you to leave. I sold it last week, with everything in it to a woman's charity. You know that battered wives one. Can't think of the name just now. Oh, there's bugger all left in the bank. I gave it all to charity, along with the cash I got from selling the cars. Do you understand? We're skint, flat broke. We have nothing at all to our name. One final little gift for you, my dear, I said. Reaching down beside my chair, I picked up a box. Wait a sec before you open it. I've got one more thing to say, I said as I took it over to her. I was beginning to feel a little nauseous and weak. The glue wine had a little something extra. I ground up some dried castor seeds and worked out to be about 4 to a bottle. Fatal, of course. Sorry, Derek, but a man can't be letting a man have his wife and not do anything about it, can he? The books say 1 seed will do for most, but I wanted to be sure. Yeah, between us, we've had enough to kill maybe half a dozen people. For you, it's punishment. Me, I can't live now. My heart has been ripped out. By the way, there's no antidote. We're both dead. Maybe hours, maybe a couple of days. Looking at Jane, I said, You can open your present now, dear. She looked at me, then the box, and with trembling hands, she took the lid off and screamed and kept screaming. The box fell to the floor, spilling its contents. Derek looked at it, and he too screamed. I looked down at the bloody mess that was Davies Johnson and balls and smiled. The rest of him is in the garden, impersonating a brass monkey. Someone will have to cut all the tape off him. I got carried away. The house sat in eerie silence, disturbed only by the faint ticking of a clock somewhere in the background. The cold, metallic scent of blood and death lingered in the air, heavy and suffocating. Jane and Derek remained frozen, their faces pale, eyes wide with horror, unable to comprehend the monstrous revelation that had just unfolded before them. As the hours passed, the poison began its cruel work. Derek, once a cocky and smug figure, was reduced to nothing more than a trembling shell, his body racked with agony. He clutched his stomach, every breath a painful reminder that his time was running out. Jane, staring blankly at the box and its gruesome contents, no longer screamed. Her voice had left her, along with any shred of sanity she had managed to hold on to during the nightmare. Outside, the world continued on, oblivious to the tragedy playing out behind closed doors. Neighbors laughed over dinner, children played in the streets, and life, for everyone else, moved forward. But inside that house, time stood still. The slow, creeping death that had taken root in the veins of its occupants became their only reality. In his final moments, Derek could only think about how foolish he'd been, how easily he had walked into this trap. He wasn't the first, and he wouldn't be the last man destroyed by greed and lust. Jane, however, remained eerily still, as though her soul had already departed, leaving only a hollow shell in its wake. As for him, the husband, the betrayed, he sat calmly in his chair, his body weakening but his mind clear. He didn't feel the fear that had consumed the others. He felt peace, in a strange, twisted way. His revenge was complete. They would all die together, but he would die knowing that he had taken back control and exacted the ultimate price for their betrayal. The hours ticked away, and one by one they succumbed to the poison, their lives slipping away as quietly as the wind through the cracks of the old house. Days later, when the authorities finally broke down the door, drawn by the concerned calls of neighbors who hadn't seen any movement in days, they found 3 bodies, each telling a story of betrayal, revenge, and unspeakable horror. And so, the tale of the man who loved too deeply and was betrayed too completely came to a fitting, if tragic, end. And so, we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.